And I know everybody's going to get mad at this. Cam hating on Jalen Hurts. It's hard for me to grade Jalen Hurts with the talent that he has around him. Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. But if we're talking about what they bring to the table holistically, it's hard to judge what Jalen Hurts can do when you're throwing to a guy like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. When you have tight end skill set, you have a dominant defense, the best running back in the game. Download Madden and see how many stars is on the offensive side of Philly. Like you got King Henry, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, those guys, that's cool. But when you're comparing, Lamar Jackson still shows you why he's an elite player. Josh Allen has to play elite in order for them to play. Lamar Jackson has to play at a high level for the Baltimore Ravens, even though that they have a dominant defense. Patrick Mahomes, he got a lot of talent. But boy, oh boy, you can't put no John Doe in Patrick Mahomes and think that they still gonna win the way they win it. I understand that. Jalen Hurts does not have to play elite for the Philadelphia Eagles to win. He has to play good, but he doesn't have to play elite. We're not asking you to win the game. We're just asking you not to lose it. When you ask that question, are we winning because of you, solely because of you, or is it the resources around you? So game changer, game manager, those are the things that you have to ask yourself. And those are the metrics that I'm going off of. It's like, bro, even when the tush push, you got 5 people pushing you, bro. You got a solid group around you, dog. And the man who Jalen Hurts is, bro, I respect him. I take my hat off to him. But just because he's a great guy, that don't mean I can't critique his game.
Cam Newton just took a shot at Jalen Hurts, saying the Eagles quarterback isn't top tier. He claims Hurts is more system than skill, but the internet's firing back, calling out Cam's lack of a Super Bowl win. Is Cam speaking facts, or this just cap? Let us know what you think and hit that subscribe button for more as we get viral started right here, right now. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of Viral. I'm your host, as always, Kendra Dix here. Glad you can join us here on Viral. We talk about Jalen Hurts getting called out by Cam Newton for not being a top quarterback. We'll get to it in a minute, but first thing first, join in the conversation using the hashtag Viral here on Connect. And don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe is caring. Tell a friend, call a friend, hit that subscribe button so you won't miss a thing. Here on Viral, we talk about a former NFL quarterback of the Carolina Panthers and now turned podcaster and sports personality Cam Newton recently called out Jalen Hurts, the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback who just won this year's Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts being called by Cam Newton for not being a top quarterback. Let's get the remarks of what Cam Newton had said and what brought this right here, right now. Cam Newton stirring the pot once again, this time calling out Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts, claiming he's not a top-tier quarterback in the NFL. Cam made the comment during a recent podcast appearance saying that Hurts benefit more from a great system than his own talent. But fans and analysts weren't having it. Social media lit up with backlash, many pointing out Cam's own resume, especially missing the Super Bowl ring. Some say Cam speaking facts, others say he's bitter. Hurts led his team to Super Bowl and is one of the most dominant dual threat quarterbacks in the league today. So the question is, does Cam have a point, or is this just another hot take going too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for more football drama. Cam Newton saying that Jalen Hurts not a top 10 quarterback for this upcoming season. Has Cam Newton lost his mind? We get that Cam Newton was a great player, but Jalen Hurts and Cam Newton, they're similar in some form or fashion. Both are great passers. Growth, did a lot of touchdowns, leading their teams to victory. Cam had that perfect season almost a decade ago, leading his team to the Super Bowl, but did not go and win the Super Bowl that year. Well, Jalen Hurts, 10 years later, did the same and led his team to a Super Bowl with the help of Saquon Barkley and a host of others to get him to the way. That's what Cam probably was saying. Like I said, even Cam Newton rebuttal and heard the critics and what Cam Newton had to say right here.
Go viral, box office. Who hotter than me?
Well, Cam's wrong.
Cam Newton went to 3 Pro Bowls. Jalen Hurts already been to 2. Cam Newton was an MVP, and he got to the Super Bowl, and he forgot to bring his cape.
Mr. Ryan Clark, you're attacking the messenger and not attacking the message. Terrell Owens, we all know that you don't have the best relationships with your quarterbacks. Me being a quarterback, I'm just going to leave it at that. Gilly, you posted me on your social story. And Peggy, I got a question to ask. Can you name me one Gilly the Kid album? Damn. Did you know his album was Philadelphia? Damn.
Jalen Hurts is the quarterback you got to go through in the NFC to win the Super Bowl.
You do not need to go through Jalen Hurts.
Who do you need to go through?
The Philadelphia Eagles. Damn. So since that we want to attack the messenger, Ryan Clark, okay, let's pull up your stats. Second team All-SEC, we cannot relate. Undrafted in 2002, we cannot relate. 1 Pro Bowl in 2011, we cannot relate. People keep attacking Cam, the person, or why he didn't jump on the fumble, comparing and contrasting. So when I compare and contrast you guys' statistics and Dan Orlovsky, never mind. But the message here is, Jalen Hurts, this has nothing to do with me hating. Eagles fan, this has nothing to do with me being bitter. This is just my thought process in evaluating quarterbacks. Let's make people debate about sports again. There's too many homeboys in the industry. There's too many insiders that are moved by relationships. Well, you're not talking about the person. You're more or less talking about their performance. And that's what I will talk about. Did you know, Peggy, Jalen Hurts only threw for 2,900 yards in the whole season?
Yeah, 2,903 yards.
Did you know that his former teammate at Alabama, Tua Tagovailoa, threw for 36 yards less? You know the kicker in that is?
What is it?
Tua only played in 11 games. Baker Mayfield threw for 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions. Justin Herbert's stats, 23 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions. So what are we talking about here, ladies and gentlemen?
Cam Newton trying to rationalize his own thinking about what he believes. At the end of the day, Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl champion. Cam Newton is not a Super Bowl champion. So Cam Newton can hate all he wants, but at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl champion. Cam Newton, when he had his playing career, could have been a Super Bowl champion, but did not take advantage of the situation. Let's hear what you people had to say. You people had a lot to say about Cam Newton talking smack about Jalen Hurts not being a top 10 quarterback, but won the Super Bowl this year. Let's hear what you people had to say on what people say.
Cam's wrong. I do think that Jalen Hurts is a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League right now. He's the reigning, defending Super Bowl champion, and when you've called upon him to step up and produced on an elevated level, he has done so. So we got to give credit where credit is due with that and stop judging this brother so harshly. But in the same breath, I do understand where Cam is coming from, and we have to understand and appreciate that he's one of the rare individuals in the history of sports to have the license to take the position that he has taken, not because he was a former football player, not because he was just a former league MVP, but because we know that he was asked to carry the Carolina Panthers on his back. He never had the luxury of having an A.J. Brown and a Devontae Smith and a Saquon Barkley at his disposal. And so he's looking at it from the standpoint of not just your talent, but the responsibility that you're asked, the onus that you're asked to have placed on your shoulders, and whether or not you answer the call under those conditions. I understand where he's coming from with that. I respect his position, but nevertheless, I still disagree, because I think that when we look at Mahomes, we look at an Allen, we look at obviously a Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, and others. I mean, we stand there with those four, and then after that, it's a crapshoot. You're talking about Goff, you're talking about Stafford, you're talking about Herbert and other guys, and don't tell me, even a Baker Mayfield, for example, is listed by some as a top 10 quarterback. Don't tell me that Jalen Hurts doesn't belong in that category. He's a top 10 quarterback, but I still do respect where Cam Newton was coming from. It's not like, he was just insulting the brother. He's saying that, Joe, when I played, this is what I was asked. This is the litmus test y'all put me under and how y'all judged me. So a lot of times you see superstars that have played in this game and have played throughout professional sports, they're looking for the litmus test to be consistent, and I think that's what Cam Newton was doing.
We have to stop allowing people to have excuses to disrespect Jalen Hurts. Cam recently said I was playing things safe, so let me cook for a second here, right? So there's different ways to look at it. Historically and presently, Jalen Hurts is the top 10 quarterback, and you're going to look at it different ways. You're going to look at talents above X's and O's, the ability to help your team win, and then to me, it's proximity to the GOAT. Let's take Cam Newton, right? What made Cam Newton great? He could be powerful in short yardage and goal line. He could extend plays with his legs. He was this big physical presence. So is Jalen Hurts, right? Cam Newton went to the playoffs 4 times. Jalen Hurts been to the playoffs 4 times already. Cam Newton went to 3 Pro Bowls. Jalen Hurts already been to 2. Cam Newton was an MVP, and he got to the Super Bowl, and he forgot to bring his cape. When Jalen Hurts is going to the Super Bowl, he's brought his cape, and he's also brought the Avengers with him, who are not even in D.C. They in Marvel, right? And so now let's think about this. Okay, let's go to winning. Eli Manning is going to be a Hall of Famer. Why is Eli Manning going to be a Hall of Famer? Because he had 2 epic runs to the Super Bowl. And in those Super Bowls, he played great, and he beat the GOAT, not only of that time, but the GOAT of the era, right? But he's only been to 4 Pro Bowls. He never got an MVP vote. He was never an All-Pro. Jalen Hurts has done all of those things. Right now let's look at Jalen Hurts in this time. In the Super Bowl, how do we measure every quarterback in the AFC? What is your proximity to Patrick Mahomes? You know the 3 quarterbacks that's beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs? I know who they are. They're Joe Burrow, they're Tom Brady, and they're Jalen Hurts. And not only did Jalen Hurts beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl, he outplayed him in the Super Bowl. And so now, here is what I think. If you don't want to count Jalen Hurts in your top 10, I have one question. Who's in the top 10? And how do you get there? And the last thing is this, right? Cam Newton is using excuses to not put Jalen Hurts in the top 10. Excuses are tools of incompetence that build monuments of nothingness, and those who major in their usage are non-achievers. The ring that Jalen Hurts is walking around with says top 10 to me. Tell Cam to show you his.
Cam Newton is flat out hating. And it's no coincidence that he made that statement the day the Eagles were getting fitted and seeing their Super Bowl ring for the first time. So while Cam Newton is out here hating on Jalen Hurts, hating on the Eagles, and saying that he's not a top 10 quarterback, Hurts got his name engraved in a Super Bowl ring because he did something that Cam Newton did not do. Both of those guys lost in the Super Bowl, but only one guy came back and got his revenge. So I know why that guy in Cam Newton, he's upset. Because he wished he had the career of Jalen Hurts. If you say that Jalen Hurts is not a top 10 quarterback, you're being disrespectful. You're just flat out hating. When Jalen Hurts is compared to the Jared Goffs, the Dak Prescotts, the Jordan Loves, Baker Mayfield, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, that's when it gets disrespectful. That's when I have to look at you and be like, you're either a Cowboys fan, you either hate Philly, or your girl like Jalen Hurts. That's what it's got to be. Because there's no other valid reason unless you're Cam Newton and your salty Jalen Hurts got the ball and revenged his loss, unlike you, because you did not go for that ball. What have we always said? Jalen Hurts would have went for that ball.
Eagles fans fail to understand that 2015 Cam Newton did way more with a less talented team than what Jalen Hurts did with a stacked roster. Of course, it was going to be easy for Jalen Hurts to have a great performance in the Super Bowl when you had so much weaponry around him. If you put Jalen Hurts on that 2015 Carolina Panthers team, they don't even make it out of the divisional round. They definitely wouldn't have beat the Legion of Boom with Jalen Hurts at quarterback in replace of Cam Newton. But put Cam Newton on this past year's Philadelphia Eagles team, they go undefeated. They go a perfect 17-0. Super Cam on the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles, with everything that he never got, the majority of his career in Carolina would have been an illegal team. Eagles fans have to cut it out at this point.
This Cam Newton, Jalen Hurts debate, I've been seeing it going around. Who would you rather have, prime Cam Newton or Jalen Hurts? Can't go wrong with either one, but I'm not going to hold you. I might just be taking Cam Newton. And to hear me out, I know Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl MVP. The rebuttal is Cam Newton didn't dive on the ball in the Super Bowl.